This is a Raspberry Pi UPS. It keeps your Pi up and running for about 3 or 4 hours in the event that it's disconnected from power. And since it's purpose-built for the Raspberry Pi, it has some nice features that you wouldn't get if you made a DIY battery backup, or even if you just plugged the Pi into a standard UPS. But the one question that kept nagging me the whole time that I was playing around with this device is, do you really need it? Well, let's dig in and find out. The SunFounder PiPower 2 is $25.99 USD, and it's compatible with all Raspberry Pi 3 and 4 boards, as well as the Pi Zero, the Zero 2, and it can even work with other single board computers like the Banana Pi or the Rock Pi if they're powered with 5-volt 3-amp power. There is a full device compatibility chart in the product link down in the description. The UPS works as a pass-through where you power up the PiPower 2 with USB-C, and then it outputs 5-volt 3-amp with either USB-C or microUSB, depending on which version of Raspberry Pi you have attached to it. The battery itself, this blue guy right down here, is a 7.4-volt 2000 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery. Now, setup of the PiPower 2 is super easy, and it comes with absolutely everything that you need, right down to the screwdriver used to screw everything together. There's also a full set of online documentation that definitely comes in very handy. So now, let's talk about some of the nice features that you get with the PiPower 2 that you wouldn't necessarily get with a DIY solution. So first of all, there is a little power switch here that lets you turn the Pi on and off from the PiPower 2 board. And having a power switch is always nicer than, physically pulling the power cord, which can potentially damage the components. There's also a number of indicator LEDs, such as one next to the power cable that shows when it's charging, a green power indicator that lets you know power is being supplied to the Raspberry Pi, and it also has a set of 4 amber LEDs that indicate the battery level. Each of the 4 LEDs represents 25% of total battery capacity. They've also included a number of I/O pins that you can use for various purposes. They've got a pin for getting the battery voltage, a pin to determine if USB power is connected, and my favorite, the LODT pin, which sends out voltage when the battery level is low. So here you can see that I have soldered a wire from the LODT pin up to one of the GPIO pins on the Raspberry Pi. And with some simple scripting, you can get the Raspberry Pi to shut down gracefully when low voltage is detected. Full disclosure, while I was able to solder the LODT pin to one of the GPIO pins on the Raspberry Pi, my own ChatGPT level programming skills failed me, and I was not actually able to get the graceful shutdown to work programmatically. Now, I tried both appending a line to the /boot/config.txt file, which is supposed to work, but it didn't. And then I also tried creating a Python script and running it as a service, but neither of these solutions gave any log file output upon shutting down. So I'm really not sure if they actually worked or not. If anyone out there does have a working solution, please let me know. I'd love to do a follow-up blog post, and I will post that in the description of this video. So that brings us to the final question here. How useful is this thing? I mean, certainly you don't need to have a UPS on a Raspberry Pi, and I would argue that if you have a service that is mission critical enough to warrant high amounts of uptime, maybe the Raspberry Pi isn't the best platform for that service in the first place. And additionally, if you're a tech enthusiast at home, you probably already have a UPS for your computer or your internet connection. I mean, I've got 2 sitting in my office right here. And you could just piggyback on one of those UPSs to keep the Raspberry Pi on also. So then, where is this useful? Now, I asked that question a while ago while Twitter was still Twitter, and mostly the folks who responded said that it would be great for portable applications. So perhaps running some stuff in a boat or in an RV, or if you have a Pi running somewhere with unstable power, a UPS like this can prevent power surges. And it's not nearly as large as a regular office UPS. And if you're booting off the microSD card in the Pi, those cards don't always take kindly to hard boots, like just pulling the power. Or perhaps you are running some sort of mission critical application like Home Assistant or Pi-hole, or maybe a VPN server on your Raspberry Pi. This can help keep everything up and running until power is restored, if you don't have your own separate, larger UPS. And finally, I will say this. I've seen a ton of articles online about DIY battery backups for single board computing. But with the ease of setup and the nice extra features you get with this PiPower 2 for 26 bucks, I personally would have a hard time justifying spending a little less money in parts and a lot more time to build one of these on my own. But tell me down in the comments, do you think a purpose-built Raspberry Pi UPS is useful? And if so, what would you use it for? In doing research for this video, I noticed that these are currently actually sold out at SunFounder, so I mean, someone must be buying them. Maybe that was you. And if you'd like to keep this party going, I have hand-selected a couple of videos on the right here for you to watch next. The top video is my top 5 Raspberry Pi projects for 2023, and the bottom video is my complete setup guide for Home Assistant.